Uniform Show, episode 11. This is an overdue episode, all MLB edition. And we're finally getting to City Connects. We've only reviewed 3 of them to this point, and they continue to get released as the season goes on. We've done the Twins, the Padres, and the Marlins. And we're not going to get through all of them today. We're just going to get through and review some of the City Connects. But before we get to that, there's something else that we've been meaning to get to, and that's the ad patches that some of the teams have decided to wear on their uniforms.
Originally, when we heard about ad patches and helmet commercials, at least I thought it was just going to be the entire league all at once, ad patches on jerseys, commercials on helmets, but luckily that has not been the case. It's slowly been showing up more and more, but not blanketed. And originally it was supposed to begin in the playoffs last year, from what I last heard, and that was delayed too, so good as far as I'm concerned. But now we're starting to really see them pick up a bit more. Probably around half the league has the ad patches at this point. No sign of the helmet commercials at this point, and hopefully they'll take as long as they want with those or just drop them all together. But we have here the Braves and the Cardinals, 2 of the better design uniforms in all of baseball, and 2 that don't look good with an ad patch. One, though, is better blended in and executed than the other, and that would be the Cardinals.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and we're in complete agreement that the Cardinals' home uniform is in the debate of very greatest uniforms in all of sports. And then one of my other favorites is the home Braves. So to see the ads on these 2 uniforms, they've done as good of a job with the Cardinals as they could, but the Braves, that's a different story.
Yeah, the Braves have a little bit of gold in their jersey in the front there, but overall, gold is not one of their colors. This really stands out, and I'd say only because they have a little gold on the front, it sort of works, but it's huge, and the shape doesn't complement any of the other parts of the design. I've seen worse ones, but this is pretty loud and stands out. The Cardinals, on the other hand, really blends in very well and is more subtle, and even as S, T, and L as part of it, you could mistake it as being some sort of a tribute patch or something else actually to do with the Cardinals. So it's more tolerable.
Yeah, what's interesting is I remember reading about the Cardinals' sponsor here for their ad patch, that they signed a 7-year contract to be on the Cardinals uniform. I was shocked by that. I was thinking, well, this could just be a 1-year, 2-year, 3, 4, 5 at the absolute most, 7-year deal to remain on the Cardinals uniform. And you know, something about patches on uniforms, there's so many areas of sports and uniforms we have never even got to. Even though this is our 11th episode, we've done different episodes and specials with uniforms, and we've done rankings and new uniform reviews. We've talked about uniforms for so many years with ourselves. It's going to take a long time to get around to all the topics that we have discussed amongst ourselves. But over the years, the patches to remember, commemorate an anniversary, someone who had an important role with the franchise or team, organization, or a former player, it's gotten out of hand. Yeah, it's not, say, one of the even primary players from a team's history, or let's say an owner, to, well, almost anyone who was a good player. It's really gotten out of hand.
It used to be more special and a significant player or person in the organization, and it just seems like every year there's something for someone now.
Right, with the team, especially any of these teams with history in baseball, having such a long history, you could have multiple patches every single season.
Yeah.
So to see the ad patch, I'm not for it, I don't like it, but in some ways we've gotten used to something being there. If it isn't the team logo, then on the other side, then it's usually something else, like with the Giants. There's always something there. If not one, it seems like there's two patches to remember someone or something. Here's another interesting thing about the ad patches is there's a lack of consistency, or you could say a lack of uniformity with the ad patches.
I was just going to mention that. What that is depends on what the batter bats, left or right. The patch is placed on whatever arm is showing outwards to the camera. And so you have a uniform that isn't uniform.
You know, like an example here with the Red Sox, you have Devers being a left-handed hitter. So they place it on his right arm because that's what you're going to see him. That's the view you're going to get when he's up to bat. And then you take someone like Justin Turner, who's right-handed with the Red Sox. Well, it's going to be in the opposite arm. It's going to be on his left arm. Or take someone like Max Scherzer there. He's a right-handed pitcher, so they put it on his left arm. If you're talking about left-handed pitcher on the Mets, sorry, I can't think of anyone right now, it would be on their right arm.
Right.
And then some, of course, look better than others. Some match the team colors, if we noted, like we've seen in the NBA. The Mets, that's not bad right there. And what we saw in the Cardinals versus you see the Mass Mutual on the Red Sox. You could say it matches the hat, but it doesn't match the uniform.
It really stands out.
Especially when they're wearing red, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's even arguably a worse look.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned too, I'm surprised this is not universal yet.
Yeah.
They just didn't have this for every single team starting this year. It's surprising it's optional, but it's only a matter of time until every single team does this. And then the one that bothers us even more is, you know, it's coming to hats and batting helmets like you've seen in Japan. That's another thing that we've never got to discuss is playoff patches and all these special patches, all-star game patches. It's one thing to wear it in the World Series, but just getting to the playoffs, especially now that there's so many more playoff teams and it's not nearly as meaningful, it's not nearly as much of an accomplishment to get to the playoffs.
Right.
Putting a patch on is, again, something that has lost its significance over the years. Especially recent years.
Right. Growing up in the 90s, you had to make the World Series to have a patch, and it was one of those very special things to see your team having that World Series patch on their hat. And like you just said, there's just so many patches now for so many different things. It's not what it was.
And I don't think we're going to get to it this year, but we do want to do a specific episode on the All-Star Game. And that would be a long episode with how MLB has ruined All-Star Game uniforms. And then you can talk about what specifically happened to the hat of all things during the All-Star Game. It's gotten worse and worse and worse.
Right. It started with the decline of the hat and then made its way down to the entire jersey.
Now let's get into City Connect. City Connect's in its third year. We know it started with the NBA, with the City Edition, and baseball decided that they wanted to take this up. I think City Edition is the worst thing that happened to NBA uniforms.
Yes.
When it comes to alternate jerseys, they are the worst.
Yes.
And we are not, I'll just say it right now, we are not fans of City Connects. But I will say there's not much I like about them, but they're not as bad as City Editions.
Right.
There are some positives that we can pull out here. And let's start with a team that went back to 2021, and that's the Dodgers. They've changed their look, but this was their original City Connect uniform.
All blue. Not that far a departure from their regular uniforms, but you have some black mixed in on the sleeve cuffs and on the hat brim and on the pants as well, on the edges and borders, and not having the LA on the hat. What they have there, Los Dodgers, is not an improvement.
Well, we can say this right off the bat since it's baseball, and this is the MLB edition episode. There is not a single, in our opinion, and I feel like we can say this with some authority, there is no City Connect uniform that is an improvement. Or I'd go so far as to say it's even an equal to the standard uniforms for any team we've seen so far.
Right. It's a great point to make. And this is one of those very glaring examples where the Dodgers have one of the best uniforms in all of baseball and all of sports. And they really couldn't do much with City Connect because they already have something that's great. I like that they didn't do anything wild or too far away different, but still it's unnecessary what they have here, and going blue on blue on blue is just a bodysuit look. Not what you want in baseball. Colored pants have had some places in MLB uniform history, but they aren't better looking, in our opinion, than white or gray.
Right, and we're going to set down some of our standards and our logic and our criteria for judging uniforms right here. So we'll spend more time on this Dodgers one, so we're not repeating ourselves over and over again. Before I get to that, there are so many things to say about this Dodgers. I absolutely love the Dodgers uniform, even as Giants fans. I've said it before, I will readily admit that the Dodgers have a superior uniform to the Giants. I will give them that. The Brooklyn Dodgers was a great uniform, The Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the very best, at the top of our list. And the Dodgers, what I've always liked about them, and what we've always done, is we've compared the Dodgers with the Yankees. That they're not going to do anything with their uniforms traditionally. They're going to pretty much wear the home and the road. While the Giants are more like the Red Sox, where they're going to have more alternates.
Right.
Now when you have these, it's a little different. And the Dodgers, it's been very rare until City Connects that they've ever worn the blue. And we said, well, if they just had the blue version of the white home, it would be very nice.
Yeah.
But if I could just have it my way, they'd just still wear the white and gray. But getting back to the standard that we have, or the way we judge these, our criteria is colored pants are a no-no in baseball. And it's similar to the NFL, that we like contrast, but there's a reason in baseball why it's always been white, or you could say that kind of subtle, more cream, light cream, like the Giants would have at home.
Or the faint pastel blue
Yes.
road jerseys in the
Nothing
70s
too
and 80s.
deep.
Yeah.
Like more of an off-white. That works. And then the light gray on the road. That's what was so bad about the Diamondbacks a few years ago, that we've never been able to get around to either at this point, because they went too dark. You can even compare it to the NFL, that black pants don't work in the NFL. Give me an example of a black team that looks good with black pants. There's no one.
Right, especially in these stocking era we're in now in the NFL, where it's just all one piece all the way down, black.
You take the Steelers and the Raiders, the two traditional teams that are black. It doesn't look good. And there's a reason why they don't have black pants. The Steelers have yellow, not gold, and the Raiders have silver pants. But in baseball, I really don't like it, because, here's another one, the Ravens, they look better with white on white versus white on black.
Yes.
And I know Paul Lucas would like this too, that purple pants don't work. Purple pants don't work in football, Vikings, Ravens. And here I don't like colored pants in baseball, at least especially not that color on color look. And I was taken back, and I was shaking my head the first time I saw, I'm like, they're doing blue on blue? You're kidding. That's what they decided to go with, the first version of these.
I believe they were the first team in the City Connect era to have color on color.
And though Albert Pujols is retired, I had to throw this in. This is as bad as he ever looked in his career. I mean, he was very conservative until the end of his career. And we featured him in the first episode that we ever did, was he decided to roll up the socks at the end of his career, the last 2 seasons or so. And here in this picture, he's got the white socks with the... I don't know what would be worse. I don't want to see the white socks. I don't want to see the blue socks. It's just bad.
Yeah. Baggy pants with the ripples, and then white socks when you have primarily blue everything.
Well, the Dodgers did make an improvement on the City Connects, and I approve of it. And it's made the uniform altogether far more tolerable. And even though this is one of our least favorite players, maybe my least favorite, I think the worst dressed Major League Baseball player, which we went over in the last episode, Julio Urias, the white pants is a huge improvement, and I do compliment the Dodgers on making that change. I just wish that they would go to the regular Dodgers. But then what'd be the point of City Connect? I'd rather not have them, but I realize that one of the things when you're judging these is the point is not to have something that's exactly the same as what you already have.
Right. This is as good as you can ask for what it is. And they just need to get rid of that black on the jersey sleeve cuffs and the brim of the helmet, Bill.
Right. That's the thing I would clean up is the hat. Otherwise,
Yeah.
the socks, that's a preference thing. I don't have much to complain about it, and I would say we're starting off with the best of the current City Connects that we've seen so far, this version of the Dodgers. And it's only fitting that next we go to the Giants.
These were released in 2021. We didn't know what to expect when we heard that the Giants were getting them. Orange made a lot of sense to be opposite of the black that they primarily have. But this is a lot of orange. And
well, it's right when you're looking at them. Where's the black? There is no black, at least in this picture here. And it's true, when you look at these, there is no black. It's just white and orange. Or you could say the only true color is orange, because we're not counting white as a color.
right.
A couple things here is what I do compliment both the Dodgers and the Giants on, and I give them credit for, is they stayed with actual team colors. The Dodgers have their blue, the Giants, the black is absent, but the orange is the secondary color, so they decided to make orange the color, not just the primary color, the only color. So you still say that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it grew on me a little bit. I thought they were just terrible when I first saw them. I'm not saying I like them, but they've grown on me a little bit more because we've come to see that overall they've gotten worse, these City Connects. And when I see the Giants, I say, well, they actually have one of the better ones out there. And what they did was they gave it a real San Francisco feeling with that kind of fog look with the G that we're all familiar with. If you've gone to games there, it's creeping into the ballpark at night. And then they also have the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, which is orange. We call it the Golden Gate Bridge, but it is actually an orange bridge. If you've seen the start of Full House, you know what it is, the Golden Gate Bridge, even though we always say, to me, the real bridge of San Francisco is the Bay Bridge.
Right.
It's the workhorse bridge. It's the one that everyone uses for transportation, and the Golden Gate's just there to look good.
Yeah, and I do like that they kept the SF on the hat. A note that we can also mention is that in the first year, 2021, they used their standard black batting helmets, and it wasn't until the following year, 2022, that they brought in the orange.
Yeah, and for this review, we're just giving our comments. We're not giving grades to these. We're not ranking them for now. Perhaps when they're all out, we'll give them some kind of grade or rankings. These are just our initial thoughts and comments on them. I mean, I would like to see a little black fans like them, players at this point seem to like them, and they have a good record in them. But I don't look forward to it because the Giants wear them on Tuesday nights. So Tuesday home games is when they wear the City Connects. Now the Boston Red Sox. I have to say, this is one that bothers me.
Right, this is supposed to be a tribute to the Boston Marathon and for being a City Connect theme. That is interesting and makes sense, but from the Red Sox color perspective, couldn't be any less Red Sox, and that's one of the worst parts of it.
Yeah, so I did some reading up on this too, that it's the finish line of the Boston Marathon is this blue and this yellow. But for me, it's too far from the Red Sox. I know the Red Sox have had all kinds of alternates over the years, but, not to have any of their regular colors, because that's a totally different shade of blue, being a lighter blue, and then yellow. Yeah, we've seen some wild Red Sox uniforms, like in spring training. They've worn St. Patrick's Day uniforms.
Green.
We've seen blue. We've seen red. Different versions of those. I don't know. I don't know if you said between, are they going to wear something for the Green Monster? They could have maybe done something like that. Yellow, blue. This one for me is a big thumbs down.
Yeah.
Then we have the other Sox, the White Sox.
And this has the team colors. It has a consistent font that ties into their standard uniforms. Just all the elements are nicely spaced and balanced out, and the pinstripes look really nice set against black.
Yeah, well, we're usually used to the reverse, that they have white uniforms at home, they have the black pinstripes. The major problem for me here is, again, color on color.
Yeah.
And again, it's the team colors. They stay with the team colors. I'd rather see this South Side with white pants.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the right move for me. But overall, if you're going to have a City Connect, these are among, I would say, the better group
Yes.
of City Connects. And, none of these guys are even cracking a smile, though. I mean, Lucas Giolito there, it looks real thrilled in the middle to be showing off these uniforms. I mean, none of them really look happy. No one's even cracking a smile here. And hey, if I was wearing any of these, I wouldn't be happy either. But the White Sox, in this case, are better than the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And I have to comment on this too, that I always felt really sorry for the White Sox because they had one of the longest World Series droughts, like the Red Sox did. It was only a few years less, and the timing of their World Series victory could not have been any worse.
Yeah.
Because of who the Red Sox are, and that their drought was a few years longer, and they're the Red Sox. No one really cared, other than those in Chicago on the South Side didn't care because what the Red Sox did with the longer drought and being the Red Sox, and then, of course, they're not the Cubs.
Right.
They're the White Sox. And the White Sox here actually got to go before the Cubs. Now we have the Cubs, and this was from 2021, and none of those players are still with the Cubs. That's a whole nother episode. What happened with the World Series winning Cubs and the breakup of the Cubs. You have Rizzo, Baez, Hayward, Peterson, and Contreras here.
They all come! And this was one of the earliest ones, and it does have the team's colors, at least within the palette of team's colors, but they are different shades. And it does have the C, and plays in with the Wrigleyville theme, so it's a good tie-in for a City Connect uniform. But again, as you point out, with so many color on color jersey and pants, too much of the same color. And we have the sock design that's really busy.
Yeah, socks in baseball, socks all around sports. I even complain about the NBA socks, which there's not a lot to complain about. That's just how much of a nitpicker I am when it comes to socks. Just give me solid colors. I don't want to see seams. I don't like stripes. Just give me solid colors. When I see this, it reminds me of the Titans, actually.
Right.
With it's too much blue. I love blue. Blue's my favorite color. Blue's your favorite color, and most of us guys will say our favorite color is blue, or if you like jewelry, it's gold. I like blue. This is just too much of it, and like the Titans, you need something else. It's bad enough it's color on color. There's worse than this with City Connect. I like the idea of using Wrigley, but how about something with like the ivy? Get something creative with that. They could have done something creative like that. I know maybe it looked really busy, but how about having, and I'm not the best at being creative, and I know I'm conservative, and everyone can criticize me for that, but how about having like some sort of the ivy? How about having the ivy? You could have the ivy behind the Wrigleyville, or you could have the ivy designed into the letters somewhere on the uniform. That would be creative and interesting. It might be too busy, it might be too much, but someone could design something good with that. And it wouldn't have to be, I mean, I like just, maybe I'm contradicting myself. I like the team color and staying with the team color, but they could go with maybe a blue and a green, possibly, and still keep one of the primary colors, or it could be a white and a green that might actually work.
Yeah, with the green and the ivy and the green and the scoreboard, you could definitely incorporate green, and maybe there will be a new version in the future where they will do that more.
Me, this one is a thumbs down. So if we're reviewing so far, I say if I have to go one way or another, while we're not giving grades, we're not ranking them, I would give the Dodgers and the Giants thumbs up. You know, we can't be anywhere in the middle. It's either a thumb up or a thumb down. I give the Red Sox thumbs down, the White Sox a thumbs up. I give the Cubs a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Astros.
And there are some nice elements in the Astros. The hat design logo, it's pretty decent and still has their primary logo involved in it. And then Space City's font on the jersey is the same as the NASA font, so that's a nice tie-in right there. The piping in the middle of the jersey does help fill in some of the emptiness a bit. And then you have the number on the pants. Don't really know if I like or don't like that. And
I don't like it. I don't like the number.
I would lean more towards not. And then you have the what I take as blast off rocket fire fuel coming out of the socks there, out of your legs. So again, color on color, too much of the same color, but there are some good elements out of it. Also, the border stripe on the jersey's sleeve that complements the piping in the middle well. But I would still give it a thumbs down.
Yeah, with this one, it's tough. Do I give it a thumbs up or thumb down? I actually really do like some things. I like the colors. You could say they're not different enough, and I've heard some say that. Well, it's not different enough from some of the other blue uniforms. And I see that, but I think it's interesting what they did with the Space City. I like the font with the NASA font. I don't like the number on the pants. The socks are interesting. Again, I like the one color better, and I can't really see it from this picture, but maybe having another picture, there's some other kind of design on it. They don't bother me as much as I thought they would, but again, kind of like bright colors, I'd rather see that on a woman, not a baseball player. Just saying that, like that yellowy, orange, the Giants as an example, they have for their standard uniforms, and the Orioles, they have a reason they have black socks. Don't think it works on the guys so well. The thing I really do like about this is the hat.
Okay.
I actually would say I like this hat better than their regular hat.
I'd agree.
Their regular Astros hat, I thought, was very boring, as plain as it could be, dull.
Yeah.
I was really underwhelmed by the new Astros uniform set when they brought it out. This would be an improvement. This is the one thing I see, not the whole uniform, but this part, the hat, would be an improvement over their regular hat to me.
Yeah, I agree. And this jersey, I would say, is better than the other alternate blue jersey they had with the tequila sunrise and the sides, which they won the World Series in last year in the final game of the World Series where they clinched it.
That's why this is a rare time I'm actually going to disagree with you. I like this more than I don't. I don't love it. I don't love any of these. And there are some bad parts like the numbers, and hey, as long as the pants are rolled down covering up those socks, I would give, overall, even with the socks, I would give this a thumbs up. And this is the last one we're going to get through, or get to today, and it's the other team in Texas. It's the Texas Rangers.
And they have cream jerseys. This is very throwback. The black pants do complement the hat, but again, dark pants in baseball just doesn't look good, doesn't work well.
There's a reason why the colored pants were a part of history and remained in history until the City Connect uniforms.
Yeah.
I have to say that. It doesn't work.
The TX on the hat is too large, disproportionately to me, and the numbers are just awful looking. Too thin in some places, too bloated in others. The pants, it helps that there's a stripe to make a little contrast in structure, but just too dark.
Yeah, I have to be honest with these. There's not really anything I like about them, other than there's nothing wild, really, other than the size of the logo on the hat. And yeah, I really have a problem with the numbers, and even just studying fonts and trying to pick fonts myself for projects. It was very difficult to come up with a font that you like the whole alphabet in or all numbers in. And here it's a weakness.
Yeah.
It's a weakness for the Texas, the TX, but it's also a weakness for the one they chose for the numbers. And I'd rather have blue instead of black. Could you at least use the team colors? And we actually have a lot of problems with the Rangers. That's something we could go on and talk at length about. And I really dislike, well, I'll back up a moment. You have to talk about Jacob deGrom. He's not smiling anymore. He signed that big, long deal. And I like deGrom, and if you're a fan of baseball, how could you not appreciate his talent and how great a pitcher he is? It's just a shame that he's always hurt, and he's been hurt so long. He's been hurt off and on the last couple seasons, and then he's out all this year, and maybe he'll be back next season, at the end of next season. But what kind of pitcher will he be after that? Another Tommy John. But what I don't like is that look of black hat, white jersey, or the cream, black pants, white shoes. And I know we say we like how in football uniforms you alternate between helmet matches the pants, and then the jersey matches the socks. But in baseball, this whole white thing, the white shoe trend needs to end.
Yeah.
Well, the main problem here is you shouldn't have black pants in baseball. That's what I really need to say. But the white shoes are to be reserved only for the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
No one else. And for a few years now, all these players for any team decide, well, now we're going to wear white shoes too, and I just don't like it.
Home and road.
Yeah, it doesn't work, especially on the road too, which is even worse and head scratcher. It's one thing if it's the A's, but then you have these teams that are wearing the gray, and then they have the white, and again, the shoes are the same thing. There's a reason why they were a certain way all these years. And here's another example to me of it not working.
Right.
It couldn't look worse than with the white shoes. And these are all tastes. I think it works for the A's, but generally it doesn't work for anyone else wearing the white shoes. They make it look good. One of the reasons why is because they have one of the very best uniforms in baseball.
Right.
And it's tradition. It's a good tradition, and no one else needs to do it. So thumbs down.
Yeah.
That's an easy one for the Rangers. And we can finish on something positive, that the return of Radmila Lolly, and she performed for the Marlins earlier in the season. And again, I didn't know who she was even until a month ago. But if anyone could make the Marlins look good, and there's nothing that's good for the players to wear, she did everything she could to make the Marlins look good. But I hardly could even believe she even went to the trouble for doing this for the Marlins. That was a real surprise to me, not to mention, how empty that park is all the time. You can see out there in the outfield.
Yeah.
How empty that is. But I suppose she was looking for some kind of a gig or performance, and they worked something out. But what do you think about this Marlins dress or gown compared to what we've seen with the Heat?
Very similar elements of having all the jerseys put together, and then the long extended gloves, and Yeah, it's a pretty good design. The way the jerseys are stitched together and the way the names and lettering is in the middle. Looks like another successful design, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say it's interesting. It's a winner. I sure did not imagine that she would have had any involvement with the Marlins. I'm assuming she's not a season ticket holder with the Marlins. How many season ticket holders could the Marlins possibly have?
Yeah.
That's a fair question. So that's really a wrap for this episode. We're going to have a very special episode for our next uniform show, and then we're going to get really heavy into baseball. We're going to get back to the rest of the City Connects, and I'm sure there's going to be far more that are going to come out, as it seems like there is a new one almost every week or so. And then we're going to do a full review of our Major League Baseball uniform rankings from the bottom of the league to the top of the league.